Hi, boys and girls. I hope everyone has had a great Saturday. Today we are going to be reading The Foolish Tortoise. And this is an Eric Carle book. The pictures are drawn by Eric Carle, but the story is written by Richard Buckley. So it's interesting because most of Eric Carle's stories, he does his own illustrations and his own story. But in this case, it looks like he did the pictures and someone else wrote the story. It's called The Foolish Tortoise. A tortoise, tired of being slow, impatient to get up and go, took off his large and heavy shell and left it lying where it fell. "Hooray!" he cried. "Now I've been freed. I'll see the world at double speed." So he's thinking that without the shell, he's going to be so much faster, because we know that turtles and tortoises are often known as being really slow. So he thinks if he gets rid of his shell, he will be faster. Although faster, he was not express, and his protection was far less. So when he heard a hornet's drone, the tortoise crept beneath a stone. A hungry bird came swooping past. He looked so fierce and flew so fast. The tortoise hid behind some trees and felt quite weak behind the knees. So we know that all animals have things that help protect them from predators. And we know that a tortoise or a turtle both have protection from predators because of the shell. They're able to hide in their shell, and predators are not able to harm them because the shell is so hard. So when the shell is missing, it makes them vulnerable. And that word vulnerable means available, right? Ready for predators to get them. "I don't feel safe. There's too much risk. If only I could be more brisk." He headed for the riverbed. A fish swam up. The tortoise fled. Along his way our hero went and almost had an accident. A snake with open jaws slid near. The tortoise backed away in fear. What are you noticing about the author's pattern with the text? You notice it, boys and girls? What is it? It's a rhyming. Yeah, it's rhyming. It's poetry, right? A hare, a hound, a horse raced by. So rapidly they seemed to fly. The tortoise gasped, sat goggle-eyed. "I'll never be that quick," he sighed. So even without his shell, he's noticing he's not very quick. He wandered on, the sun rose high. "I wish I had more shade," he cried. A sudden thunderstorm swept in and soaked the tortoise to the skin. So he's not used to getting rained on either, is he? The wind rose up and soon the breeze was bending branches in the trees. The tortoise shivered. "Now I'm cold. I wish I hadn't been so bold." Right, so that we can see the wind is even making the trees bend. So of course, the tortoise is used to not only his shell protecting him from predators, but his shell protects him from the rain. His shell protects him from the wind. So we're starting to see that his shell is really, really missing. "I think I've lost the urge to roam. I think it's time that I went home. Without my shell, I don't feel right." So when his shell came into sight, what do we think is going to happen? Think he's going to be happy? He climbed back in and said good night. So that was the end of The Foolish Tortoise. And so again, the pictures were by Eric Carle. The writing, the author was Richard Buckley. So I hope you enjoyed it, boys and girls. And do we think that foolish is sort of a word meaning silly or not thinking very clearly? Do we think maybe the tortoise was not thinking very clearly when he thought he would be faster by ditching his shell, but he realized he wasn't that much faster, for one, and for two, the shell really comes in handy in his life. So he discovered that even though he thought his shell wasn't so great, without it, it was a tough life, wasn't it? So what a good message that was for us to realize that we maybe could appreciate some of the things sometimes we get annoyed with, huh? I hope you had a great Saturday. I miss you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye-bye.